Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our recorded broadcast of our amazing Labor Day event, September 2nd, 2019. We are in the midst of a Labor Day half marathon. I started at 1 p.m. all the way to 1 a.m. today. We've got lots of people coming at us from all over. The numbers are in the millions around the world. I appreciate that. The numbers that Mark Vaughn has put on the site show only a small fraction of the numbers who are actually viewing us. And I've contended for some time that Mark has been pretending to be, on the up and up, but all along we've been getting censored. And everyone who tries to get in here has a hard time getting in. They have to hit the refresh screen numerous times. Tonight we're experiencing other problems. I'm finding out that PayPal donations aren't going through. One person went back to PayPal saying, how come they can't donate $150 to us? PayPal wouldn't give them an explanation. They just said, and the guy quotes, currently, America's third party at gmail.com is currently unable to accept donations. And then he pushed and asked more, and she said, I can't discuss the status of other accounts with you. So we're going to have to go back to PayPal and wonder why we haven't had donations in the past 7 years, except for a few people that have donated prior, which is very, very strange and extremely I'm not allowed to actually crowdfund anything because this is a political venture. Crowdfunding will not allow political ventures, nor will GoFundMe pages. It's specifically written into the law. So if PayPal shut us down, they virtually got us caromed into, only receiving a check in the mail from somebody, which is kind of wild. So I'm going to be working on our website to add our address for people that want to donate to our efforts. But I'm quite shocked, but all along I knew this was happening, and I told Sarah this many years ago. We made donations to PayPal ourselves, and we had no problem getting through with a $4, $5, $10, $20 donation. But for people who are trying now, they can't get through. So something's very, very wrong. The fact that PayPal has rejected donations on the level that we've received. We were receiving donations at a scale like this up until the time when Blog TV was shut off. We had 4 years of Blog TV in which our donations were scaling up like this. So this part of the pie chart would be Blog TV getting cut off, and then we picked up our show at Vaughn. And going with the pie chart, we'd be looking at probably about $30,000 to $50,000 estimated donations lost. 30 to 50,000. We were at around 3,000 at that point right there, 4-year mark. With that trajectory, we would have been up to 30,000 donations by now, if it kept going up and up arithmetically. If it was exponential, we'd be probably in the millions. So apparently there's been a concerted effort to censor us over the past 7 years, and we're finally collecting this data. Okay, you don't have to in any way compromise the simple fact that I'm going to be writing a letter to PayPal asking them for specific questions. PayPal is quietly cracking down on white supremacy, and they're doing it to accounts that are white supremacists. I'm not a white supremacist. I'm a centrist. I don't believe that white people are superior to anyone. And I don't believe in right-wing or left-wing politics. I'm a centrist, and I'm being kept down. But here's evidence that CNN Business has of PayPal cracking down on anybody who's trying to express their views. They're making it clear hate is not welcome. I don't mind the fact that PayPal is discriminating against extremism, but discriminating against centrism, I don't know. Hate crimes really are a problem. If people are in any way encouraging hate, I don't do that. My cat Fluffy says I wasn't introduced to your channel I went to Vaughn, endorsed by Mad Dog. Otherwise, yeah, you would never have known. Exactly. Yeah, everything is hateful to people that are afraid to even discuss any issues because it's not politically correct. Our society is being plagued by political correctness, promoted by the Democrats. And now we're being plagued by fake news, promoted by the Republicans. I have people telling me that I'm promoting fake news in the show when I'm the one revealing the fact that we have very little evidence of anything real. We have no evidence of false flag events, no blood evidence that they really are occurring. There's been over 50 false flag events in our country since about 13, 14 years ago. And we've had all kinds of fakery going on. Yeah, obvious fakery at every level. So when we asked the big question, how come the only visual evidence of anybody who's actually been killed was a guy named Clemente Pickney, the pastor in the Charlton shooting? It turns out his head doesn't look like a real head. This is a wax figure. It doesn't even look like the real guy. So many questions are coming out left and right about the authenticity of these events. We're asking why Trump doesn't wonder where the evidence is either. I mean, if he's going to call these things false, or if he's going to call other things fake news, like the Russian involvement, where we have ample proof of him involved with Russian oligarchs, yet he calls Parkland shooting a real shooting without any evidence that Nicholas Cruz opened fire on anyone in that crowd. There's no footage whatsoever of that Nicholas Cruz shooting anyone. Then we're looking at a president who's supporting fake news as real news and claiming real news is absolutely fake. So this ongoing discrepancy between what's real and what's fake has been going on for some time. I'm back. So I am David Sponheim, and this is America's Third Party. And our effort has been nonstop to continue to promote a third party despite all odds against us. And I'm a marathoner in nature. I almost have always been able to do a show against all odds. No one has been able to do a show as long as I have on a regular basis on camera. I consistently have done it more than any human being on earth. There's a guy on this Vaughn channel that says he's been the one who's broadcasted more. He puts up a few cameras and walks around his house. I mean, that's not broadcasting, people. Putting a couple cameras in your house and putting it on the air is not doing a broadcast. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff in our show today. We've featured a video that is shocking. I'm going to give it to you, all of you, a chance to take a look at this. Okay, we have evidence right now of Jeffrey Epstein alive, taken August 30th, outside of his Epstein Island, St. James Island location. This is a photograph taken from a live video seen right here, posted August 30th from a drone right above his house. That means that they faked Epstein's death. Here the guy, we're looking at the video, zooming in on him. They see him standing there. The guy sitting in the truck next to him notices the drone, looks up, and he actually waves at the drone. And you notice that at that time that Jeffrey Epstein's looking, he doesn't look up. Normally a person waving at a drone would look up at the drone, right? Well, Jeffrey Epstein purposely does not look up, knowing full well that his face would be seen. He stands there looking straight at his friend and never changes his position, and actually puts his arms across, which is a defensive behavior. And luckily we had a picture of him looking up at this angle. So it does look like Jeffrey Epstein is indeed alive, and he's ironically right at his location on Epstein Island. Okay, so what does this imply? It means that the NYPD, the FBI, everybody has been covering up Jeffrey Epstein's death. They put a fake body in place of him. We showed you the inconsistencies in his face. It's clearly obvious now he's at the island doing exactly what he's done in the past, and the government's going to sit back and do nothing. This must go all the way to the top, William Barr, which means that William Barr must be complicit in covering this up, because he said he was going to do everything he could to get to the bottom of why the penitentiary lost the video footage of the hallway where Jeffrey Epstein was shuttled out at 4:30 in the morning. William Barr has done nothing. No grand jury investigation, no probe, nothing. It turns out, now this is the real clincher, William Barr's father, Donald, actually was the one that hired Jeffrey Epstein for his first job teaching mathematics at a prep school, Dalton Prep School for girls. And this is when Jeffrey Epstein first started looking at young girls, getting involved, obviously compromising these children, and getting sexually involved with them. This is Donald Barr, the father of William Barr, our Attorney General. So there's clearly conflict of interest here. William Barr, our Attorney General, needs to recuse himself in this matter, and a grand jury investigation needs to happen in order to stop what is apparently a pedophile from doing serial work for the government. What was his purpose as an intelligence officer? Well, Labor Secretary Acosta said that he gave him a light sentence in 2007 because he was told that he's an intelligence officer, that Epstein is working for intelligence, which means that intelligence is gathering dirt on politicians using pedophilic activities and bringing, people together with children and videotaping it. This is not a country run of and by the people. This is run of and by blackmail. This is not a country dedicated to freedom and democracy. This is a country dedicated to oligarchical control and a monarchical totalitarianism. This is not a country of and by the free. If we had representatives that did their job, we'd have a grand jury investigation right now into why Jeffrey Epstein didn't even appear to die. It's not even his face. And now we have photographs of him on Epstein's St. James Island. So anyway, very important news, very seriously messed up. Meanwhile, the Hurricane Dorian is bearing down on the Florida coastline. Airport closures and cancellations are multiplying. Category 3 to Category 4 is the level they're suggesting. I'm hearing people on the internet claiming that this is falsely reported as too big of a hurricane. It's not as bad as they say. Well, we'll find out. 600 flights have been down and canceled. 45 cruise sailings are docked, waiting for the hurricane to pass. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, if the airlines are going to discount the fares, provide alternatives, etc. I'm not really too worried about that. Meanwhile, the protests in China happening right now. People are gathering constantly to protest the Hong Kong oppression by Beijing. And one posting came in earlier today at the Tamar Park gathering, in which 40,000 participants took part, called for a general strike. Before the crowd left the gathering, a helicopter was seen dropping fluorescent powder, reported that the powder cannot be rubbed with tissue. So apparently Beijing is is putting out permanent dye on people so that they glow and they can spot them elsewhere. Unbelievable. All right. We did get a post from a prison worker, a 4chan post, 10 minutes before the news of Jeffrey Epstein was dead. And the guy said a guy in a green dress military outfit switched him out. He didn't record the van coming in or out, but Jeffrey was shuttled out of the Metropolitan Correctional Center, MCC, and given freedom. And the guy in a green dress military outfit did the whole thing and switched him out with an imposter. This was a posting that came in 10 minutes before the news covered Jeffrey Epstein's death. So if someone was just doing random postings of things and just happened to do that 10 minutes before, what a coincidence, Hardly believe this guy was not telling the truth. So chances are Epstein's been shuttled out, brought to his own island to live in an underground facility that was probably created a couple months ago. 2 months before he was apprehended, he had acquired a large dump truck through express delivery. Whether it was sent on a barge, I'm not sure. But it arrived, and he had lots of cement brought to the island, along with carpet pullers and tile pullers, indicating that he was getting rid of and destroying evidence as well. Whatever he's doing, he may have just opened up a hole in the floor and built an underground facility there. And in the past 2 months has already constructed a home for himself. So I'm sure if we went there right now, we'd probably find him in a hole like Saddam Hussein with, a suitcase full of a new suit and a revolver sitting next to him. It's very serious when people are protected at that level. And we're wondering, when is our country going to wake up to the fact that these people are getting away with literally subjecting women or children to serious pedophilic activities, human trafficking, as well as the possibility of murdering those children. Yeah, that's my biggest concern, that some of those kids never made it back off of Orgy Island. Well, I'm going to give you the link to the video of Who Flew the Drone. It first appeared at Rusty Shackelford's site that we know of. Epstein footage from 8/30/2019 is here. Here's the video. You can check it out. Started at 1:55 if you want to see the actual encounter with Epstein. And if you want to see this close-up JPEG, here it is as well. All right, good luck. And I'm going to give you guys at Vaughn the same links if you want to validate all this yourself. This really is a very big and bad allegation that our country would be lying about such a heinous act as a guy using blackmail to control politics. Never before in our history have we had anything this obvious in front of us. I would say JFK's assassination and the Warren Commission report was a major cover-up. Major. Everyone knows that the chances of a guy named Officer Tibbets and JFK dying the same day from the same head wound in the same area, Dallas, Texas, is almost impossible to even begin to think that this guy, who was apparently a good look-alike for JFK, could have possibly been switched out and surgical work done to make it look like the bullet wound entered from the behind as opposed to the front of his head. But as you can see, this is Officer Tibbet sitting next to me here and JFK next to him. Officer Tibbet died the same day from the same similar gunshot wound heading the other direction than JFK. What's the possibility? They even called him JFK at the force when he was in the Dallas Police Department. So what's the chance of the same looking guy dying virtually the same day that JFK died? That alone raises questions. And then Donald Trump refuses to reveal the CIA report showing that George H.W. Bush was at that location as head of the director of the Dallas Bureau of the CIA. George H.W. Bush was at that location, and they won't reveal exactly what Lee Harvey Oswald did prior to his alleged shooting of the president, John F. Kennedy. Turns out they have solid evidence that Lee Harvey Oswald worked for the CIA for 5 years prior. He worked on a program called Operation Monarch, in which he was designed to, Lee Harvey Oswald was actually going to try, and he indeed tried to poison Fidel Castro. This is something that's in the record books, but they won't show it to the press or the media. And recently Trump could have presented it, but George H.W. was alive, so he said that George H.W. was alive, and they used an arcane law that said you can't prosecute or show evidence against a standing president. That's just, now it's no longer relevant, is it? So why are they holding back that evidence? Again, more proof that John F. Kennedy's death was covered up by the Warren Commission report. And let us remind you, too, that the person that signed the Warren Commission report into law was none other than a guy named Gerald Ford. You probably remember Gerald Ford, the guy Richard Nixon chose to replace him. He never got elected. President Gerald Ford, who Chevy Chase used to make fun of the guy falling because he was kind of awkward. Gerald Ford simply got a payback for signing Warren Commission into law. In no way is the Warren Commission a complete report, and it's a complete disaster of cover-ups. So the biggest cover-up since Jeffrey Epstein is now JFK. So I believe now we have another cover-up to deal with, and it's going to get bigger and bigger as time goes on. Innocent kids are going to be involved. We're already seeing the possibility that kids could be stolen from their homes in Miami and other areas. I was just watching a show on Netflix, started watching a documentary that's been referred to me as The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann. And this is a story that really dates back to 2007. And the conspiracy theory about it suggests that, Tony Podesta may very well have or John Podesta may very well have been the person in the ID out of the Portugal police department that they claim abducted Madeleine McCann. I don't know. These are allegations. I cannot prove any of that, but I can show you that this story is very real and very much alive. The faces of John and Tony Podesta actually match the IDs of the one person that grabbed and snagged Madeleine McCann. So there's a controversy as to which face it looks more like. Well, they're brothers. They look similar. One's heavier, the other's thinner. I don't know. All I can tell you is these allegations have never been proven, nor has the government really researched it. But there's an 8-part series on Netflix that I'm watching portions of as I go along. Apparently the family was distraught. Their kid was stolen from a room, and a 3-year-old who would now be 15, the kid would. And we also know that the Pizzagate story has been suppressed heavily by the media. And that's an indication they don't want anyone to look into this. I don't eat Alka-Seltzer, no. Yeah, I didn't like Dave Chappelle's use of racism against white people. I was upset by that. But I also represent and really support the idea that people who want to say things about other people can. I support free speech. I really do. I just believe that the most inflammatory thing anybody can say right now is the N-word. So I'm urging people not to do that. Is Chris Hansen my brother? No. Chris Hansen was born about a month earlier than me. A couple months earlier than me. And he was arrested last year on violating an 18,000 order of mugs that he ordered and not paying for the mugs. Yeah, I'm not Chris Hansen. Anything Dave Chappelle is doing right now, I don't believe it's really him. Not only have we outed him on many different levels, but I'm going to out him right now. Hang on, let me show you. I'm going to show you a comparison photograph I took of Dave Chappelle before and after he got back from Africa. And I think you'll be shocked. I'll play it for you. You'll see the differences. I got as clear as I could get. Okay, here is the photograph of the two of them lined up. You can clearly see the facial differences between the real Dave Chappelle and the fake Dave Chappelle in this particular picture. I pulled this from the live broadcast recently, the one that you're sending me right there on Juicy Smollett. I believe that Dave Chappelle has been replaced and they're using him as controlled opposition. I truly believe that. I will not play his videos, no. But you can clearly see that the bridge of the nose is different. There's some unique features in the cheekbone position. This man has higher cheekbones than this guy. You notice how low these cheekbones are? The angulation of the eyebrows are different and the head is different. And this guy right here, who's playing Dave Chappelle now, is very muscular, whereas Dave Chappelle was very slight of build. They're trying to pitch Chappelle as the new Alex Jones, and it's not going to work. We've already outed this guy. He's a complete fake, just like Alex Jones is. Yeah, he's ironically modeling himself after our show and brings up stories that we talk about in a legitimate way. This new Dave Chappelle is making it seem like, it's ridiculous. We'll remove you from the show. You don't belong here. You can take a 10 years ago picture and compare it to a current picture, and the age progression does not elongate the nose or change its dimension. It's a different nose. No question about it. The eyes are more deep set too, and you'll notice that the sockets are more like mine. I'm more likely to be Dave Chappelle than this man. Yeah, I don't know if there's something wrong with your observational talent, but man, I'm telling you, man, they did a skin transplant and gave me melanin injections, man. And I am definitely Dave Chappelle. All right? No, I'm serious. I mean, I look more like this guy than this guy. You must be blind or something. Yeah, you must be blind. So, I'm not going to compare my blackface. Apparently, it's one of the terms of service requirements that Mark has said not to play the blackface video anymore on his site. So I don't want to give him any reason to kick me out. But you can see I look more like Dave Chappelle than that guy. Well, the blackface video really isn't that relevant anymore. Believe it or not, we've got Donald Trump, the known and renowned liar, as our president. I know some of you are living in the background of 2012, but a lot's changed. We now have a flip-flopper named Donald Trump as a president. It's a lot better to look at this guy than to talk about Barack Obama, who we already know is a joke. I know for a fact Barack Obama lied about his religion, about his origin, and Donald Trump said he was going to do something about the birther issue and completely gave it up. Now, if you're a birther person, and there's about 38% of the country that still believes that Barack Obama lied about his birth certificate, then you're wondering why Trump never bothered to pursue that and he caved into the mainstream, because Trump is owned. He's owned by the mainstream. He will never do anything to prosecute Hillary. He won't prosecute Elizabeth Warren on the DNA issues that she brought up, that I brought up. He used the DNA thing to get noticed. Oh, Pocahontas should have a DNA exam. That was my idea. I was the one that first presented it on our show. You can look in the YouTube archives. You'll see it. But the reality is Trump will never prosecute those people because he's part of the massive cover-up. Just a fact, Jack. Hate to say it, but you guys at the Republican Party have been deceived, but same with the people in the Democratic Party. You've got Nancy Pelosi. Explain this. Now, this is an old photograph. This is over 10 years old. It said, how does someone on a $190,000 annual government salary accumulate a net worth of over $26 million? Well, guess what? She's now worth $120 million, according to Bing. She made another $100 million somehow in the past few years. That means she makes $10 million a year. And you still support her as Speaker of the House? Your Democratic Party is kaput, worthless. They don't have any clear view of how to fix this country's problems either. They've done next to nothing to take more than 5 or 6 felonies that Trump committed and turn it into an impeachment charge. It's pathetic. We could have easily had impeachment drawn up in the House, and at least the Democrats would have at least gone down saying, hey, yeah, we're going to do exactly what the Republicans did with Bill Clinton. But no, they don't even have enough power. The Democrats don't have enough power to put that together. So it's unlikely they're going to win the 2020 election. The only way they'd win the 2020 election is if whoever chooses me as their vice president will win the 2020 election. That much I can tell you for a fact will happen. If Joe Biden were to choose me as his running mate, the Democrats would win the 2020 election. If Donald Trump decided to choose me instead of Mike Pence as his running mate, he would win the 2020 election. It's really up to the two people that are trying to bring the American people up to a level of knowledge, because nobody right now is telling the truth like we are every night on our show. Nobody. There's nobody out there dedicated to this type of delivering a product that is completely unfiltered by the mainstream media. So I do believe that the possibilities are very, very real for either party to win this upcoming election. The chance of a third party winning this election is next to zero, based on the simple fact that we can't even get a donation from PayPal without them rejecting it and telling you can't donate to us. So I've got to get to the bottom of that. I've had 7 years of downtime. We haven't had hardly any donations from anybody except somebody who donated prior to 7 years ago. We got a donation from a guy who'd made a small donation 8 years ago. They managed to bring a $40 donation to us. That was our last donation. So a lot of things are happening. We're being lied to. It's not pretty. Donald would like to make this Dorian hurricane his promo reel.
On Hurricane Dorian, it's been interesting because it looked like it was going to be a very small storm, that we all got lucky. It missed Puerto Rico. It hit the Virgin Islands, but not as bad as it could have. But it really began to form and form big. And now it's looking like it could be an absolute monster. We're ready. We have the best people in the world ready, and they're going to help you. We're shipping food. We're shipping water.
Now, Donald Trump lied and said he shipped Puerto Rico $93 billion last time, and the governor said, no, you'd only give me $11.5 billion. Trump has revised that lie to $80 billion that he shipped Puerto Rico last year. Meanwhile, the governor was kicked out. The guy who disagreed with him pretty much was ousted by a complete reveal of a chat session he had to the Puerto Rican people. And he's been ousted and a woman's been put in place. Donald Trump is literally doing things behind the scenes to oust leaders of our territories like Puerto Rico. He's not helping the people of Puerto Rico. He never did. He actually brought food and water to the docks and didn't bother to give it to the final mile and just sat there in the docks. They couldn't get it to the people. This guy is completely incompetent and continues to act like he's doing a great job, and it's pathetic. It really is. I can't believe we're languishing with such a blithering idiot who continues to promise us things and doesn't deliver anything. I'd be glad to be his vice president just to bring an ounce of intelligence to the White House. So we've got a lot of really interesting things that are just constantly in our face on a daily basis. I can't even go to all the issues we have about Jeffrey Epstein because I think the big one just arrived, a photograph of him on Orgy Island looking up at a drone just 3 days ago. It doesn't get much more real than this, folks. And we identified the video in the upload, and it definitely came 3 days ago. I would not mind any type of a change in the election system. I would welcome it. I don't mind eliminating the Electoral College, but I definitely want to see some. There has to be an agreement of 2/3 of our country to do that. We could never just do that. We're not going to be able to do anything without 2/3 majority deciding anything. Well, for one, 42 by dad says his daughter was in a public toilet and a transsexual came up and used the stall next to her. How would you prevent this from happening? Well, for one, I do not support LGBTQ, as you know. I'm not in any way pushing an agenda of forcing transgenderism on children, like the Democrats are. I would, however, have unisexual bathrooms. Whenever we make new bathrooms, unisexual bathrooms would be the standard for our country, where you'd have a sink and a bathroom stall private, one door entry, not group entries. It is a recent pick, yes. I'm going to give you the links again to the entire thing. This is the Epstein footage caught on YouTube. Go to 155 in the video, and there's the image up close. Well, we've all had our doubts that he wasn't dead when we saw his photograph not matching the real Jeffrey Epstein photograph. The photograph of the dead Jeffrey Epstein did not match. The nose was off and the ears were off. So I don't know what kind of idiots are running the show over at the FBI and the NYPD, but if they're going to do something this obviously fake, and they're going to expect the world to sit back and ignore it, they've got another thing coming. I mean, they're not even trying to cover their tracks. They're so incredibly cavalier in their desire to pull the wool over the American people's eyes. I've never met Jesse Ventura, no. I've seen Jesse Ventura talk to Alex Jones. Like when Alex Jones was saying to Jesse, "You're not going to believe this, Governor, but they plan on eliminating everybody."
Why would they do that?
"Well, Governor, they want to get you."
Why would they want to get me?
No, so I really don't know if Jesse's all there. Thank you. Yeah, so more than enough evidence that Jeffrey Epstein is alive now. What they're going to do to cover it up, I don't know. But William Barr is not trying to close in on an investigation. He's just giving us mouth words, hollow words. It turns out Donald Barr, his father, was the guy that got Jeffrey Epstein his job at Dalton Prep School, where he molested or at least oversaw little girls as a math teacher. And the clincher is that Jeffrey Epstein never had an actual degree from a college. How could he be teaching little girls mathematics? It's ridiculous. You can wing it if you know mathematics. Anybody could teach mathematics. I could have taught mathematics when I was 16 years old. I'd already graduated with my second year in college calculus by the time I was 15. I mean, I literally was zooming through math. And I too could have taught mathematics without a degree. Anybody can do that, but the fact is he did. And Donald Barr, the father of William Barr, our Attorney General, got him the job. That's the weird part. No, the picture of Jeffrey Epstein is really him. That's not, no, this is as close to him as you'll ever find. There's no doubt about it. It really is him from various positions. Not really cosmetic surgery, no, it's really him. It's really, they didn't even bother to give him cosmetic surgery. They just got him a place back on the island to do what he does best, which is to live on the island. He probably said, just get me out of the jail. I'll live on the island. I'll do my thing for the Mossad, that kind of thing. That's what he'll say. He'll just live on the island, do the things for the Mossad that they want. I did see that Alex Jones has a search list on his cell phone. When he brought it online, it did show his search list included transgender porn sites. I saw that. No, I'm not seeking a lower IQ. I can read very fast, and there's no way I want to depart from my intelligence. I really enjoy having a high IQ. We can prove it, and we will. Yeah, unfortunately for you, we don't allow CIA agents in the room. Yeah, you're not allowed to come in here if you're a CIA agent. Okay, bye. These people that come in here, they're plants from the government. Oh, it's definitely not him. Yeah, sure. Well, the reality is, this guy is very important. According to Labor Secretary Acosta, when he was asked a few weeks ago why he gave him a light sentence, he said that it's because he was told that, and I quote, he's in intelligence, and to back off. I mean, Acosta even admitted it. I mean, Acosta seems like a guy between Iraq and Iran or something. Iraq in a hard place. He seemed like he was crushed in that place in labor. He didn't really want the job. They forced it upon him, I guess. But the bottom line is he had to leave, and they have a new labor secretary now. We don't need an extra bathroom for trans. Just add new unisexual bathrooms. So anybody can use it. Unisexual. Because I don't want to violate a heterosexual's right to use a transgender's bathroom either. You know, what would a transgender's bathroom include, you know? Why would it be any different than any other bathroom? You got your towels, your blower. What else do you need? Well, you want to talk about the differences in their faces. This is a good illustration right here. The noses are clearly different. It doesn't take a genius to realize this is not the same nose. You can just look at it parallel here and see that one has a curve and the other doesn't. You see the curved nose versus the straight nose with the flared nostrils. And then you look at the ear and it gets even more real. The ear doesn't match at all. See? There's no match in those ears. It's not Epstein, the guy they claim at the autopsy report says it's him. They're covering up. I would be charging the New York coroner with federal felonies of lying and neglect. Yeah, administrative neglect in the analysis of the autopsy. I would be throwing federal felonies and the RICO Act at everybody who's covering up the Epstein death. That's not true. There's no collapse of a nose during death. Not post-mortem within a few days, not even a few hours. This is a few hours, and you can clearly see a trauma to the left side of his face, bruising right here. You can clearly see that. And I believe his entire ear was bruised as well. So this guy was roughed up, which would negate the autopsy results completely. It can't be a suicide. He was physically beaten up. And the fact that even the autopsy results showed a broken neck of the alleged imposter implies that there was a struggle, which means it can't be a suicide. Everything about the entire coroner's investigation implies cover-up at the highest level. This is not some lightweight thing to deal with. We are dealing with absolute deception by our own government against us, the American people. This is not the first time. I'm suggesting a media verification alliance to deal with this kind of problem. This is my workaround that I came up with, where we have people that have their bank accounts in public trusts that don't have any type of expense account necessary. We give them enough money per diem for a motel room and their gas to use their car. Pay them per mile, and they'd be going to autopsy results like this to verify that this is really Jeffrey Epstein. We wouldn't have these problems that we have right now with all the lies and the fake news going on. But because we don't have a media verification alliance, our country's left with a controlled media that's been bought out and co-opted by very powerful people. Yes, I want to be President Firefly. I have a campaign for 2020. You didn't know that? Okay. Well, if you go to americasthirdparty.com, you'll see my website, and then you can find out more about it. All right. Yeah, I'm a marathon broadcaster, so there's nothing that can stop me from emerging the strongest candidate for 2020. No, you're not allowed to come in under that name. Sorry. So, what does this all mean? Where are we going with this story? Well, Epstein recruited a girl to actually fly the jets with the women out to Epstein's island. And here's a picture of one of the actual Gulfstream girl, she's called. She's only 14 years old, and she was recruited as one of the pilots on the jets that they flew. And there's a picture of Andrew, Prince Andrew there. The weirdest thing about the story is Prince Andrew actually was absolutely elated the day that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly died. This is a photograph of him traveling with his mother, Queen Elizabeth, away from Buckingham Palace, and you can see he's absolutely elated. He's like super happy. Well, this turned up. This post on old Reddit, see if it'll pop up. Hey, Misanthropy, could you see if this will pop up on your site? Oh, there it is. Okay, we got it. Okay, we're good. Larry Salona is, because this Misanthropy found this on 4chan or on Reddit, but apparently the person that's been saying these people die in the press at the New York Post was a guy named Larry Salona. Turns out there is no reporter named Larry Salona. It's an anagram for Royal Lancer. And this person, Larry Salona, has been reporting deaths as far back as Jeffrey Epstein, Stanley Kubrick, JFK Jr., and even the NYPD suicide. So the guy doesn't exist at the New York Post, but the anagram does. And Royal Lancer is the actual anagram for Royal Lancer is actually the seal and the name of Prince Andrew. Yeah, it's his noted position as Royal Lancer. So the coincidence of Royal Lancer being the one to report these deaths implies that maybe there's something to a connection between Prince Andrew. Now, he's the one who's most likely to profit from a dead Jeffrey Epstein, because it eliminates the threat that any of that video would ever be seen, if indeed Jeffrey Epstein has video of him with Virginia Roberts Giuffre. Okay, everybody, take a look at this this little bit of information that's come in. Sorry, wrong link. I just posted the other series of information. Yeah, this footage came in. I want to show Scissor Fight this. This footage came in today showing Epstein alive at Orgy Island on the 30th of August. Very powerful stuff. And you have a link here. Let's see. Amateurs identify U.S. spy satellite behind President Trump's tweet. Wow. Let's take a look at that. We're running a show during Labor Day, a 12-hour show today. I'm in my marathon session. I'll be doing it all the way to 1 p.m. We're doing a 12-hour show, nonstop. Thank you. Labor Day show. Here we go. Amateurs identify a U.S. spy satellite behind President Trump's tweet. Huh. Amateur satellite trackers say they believe an image tweeted by President Trump on Friday came from one of America's most advanced spy satellites. The image almost certainly came from a satellite known as USA 224, according to Marco Langbroek, a satellite tracker based in the Netherlands. Remember, he showed a picture of a space facility in Iran. They say it was a top secret picture he posted. Almost everything about it remains highly classified, but Langbroek says that based on its size and orbit, most observers believe the USA 224 is one of America's multi-billion-dollar KH-11 reconnaissance satellites. Basically a very large telescope, not unlike the Hubble Space Telescope, but instead of looking at the stars, it looks down the Earth's surface and makes very detailed images. The aftermath of Trump's tweet showing Iran's Imam Khomeini's space center was so detailed that some experts doubted whether it really could have been from a satellite high above the planet, but apparently it could be. This is a picture of the tweet that Trump did. Could somebody please get this guy some sort of a backup